Your forecast first, sponsored by Natax Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
All right, we look at the Storm Tracker Doppler here. Not a whole lot going on right in our area, but this is what we're going to do. We're going to zoom things out. We're going to take you to the west of Iowa, not too far away. A line of thunderstorms. They've had severe weather out across Iowa today. That line is going to continue to move to the south and east and eventually make it into parts of central Illinois early tomorrow morning. So while it is dry tonight, we are expecting a little bit of rain to start off your Wednesday. Again, all looks pretty good out there tonight. We had some cloud cover for some really nice sunsets throughout the region. Temperatures in the mid-60s right now. Still some upper 60s near Springfield, 68 degrees. But then we've got some nice cool 63-degree readings in Champaign, Taylorville, and Effingham. Again, out the door, you may run into a rain shower to start the day. We'll get more specific on the timing of that rainfall. I'll let you know how the summer-like heat is going to return again soon. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
I just don't understand how, why they think they're going to impeach this president. Because there's no reason for it.
An impeachment inquiry has been launched against the president, and it's drawing mixed reactions.
Plus, a state senator's under investigation by the FBI. What they were looking for.
It's not what you expect to see when you Google a school, and it has police investigating.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
The future of the 45th president is being thrown into question as an official impeachment inquiry was launched against Donald Trump today. It's causing a frenzy of questions and opinions across the country. Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jessica Coons. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi made the announcement as people signed up to go to the polls on National Voter Registration Day. This all comes after a whistleblower claimed the president pressured Ukraine into investigating former Vice President Joe Biden's family by threatening to withhold military aid. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen is here with us now. So Jennifer, this move has created a lot of backlash, but it has a lot of support as well.
Jessica, I talked to people in central Illinois today to get their take on the impeachment inquiry. It was met with mixed opinions as people wait with anticipation to see what comes out of this.
The actions of the Trump presidency revealed the dishonorable fact of the president's betrayal of his oath of office, betrayal of our national security, and betrayal of the integrity of our elections.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's impeachment inquiry announcement spurred a stern rebuttal from President Trump.
It's just a continuation of the witch hunt. It's the worst witch hunt in political history.
This action stems from a call he made to the president of Ukraine in July. He admitted to talking about his political rival Joe Biden in the context of fighting corruption in the country. In August, an anonymous member of the intelligence community filed a whistleblower complaint with the Intelligence Community Inspector General. It claims the president pressured Ukraine into investigating the Biden family by threatening to withhold hundreds of thousands in military aid. The head of the agency did not turn over the whistleblower complaint to Congress.
The time to begin impeachment proceedings against this president has come.
The saga has created a clash a year ahead of the presidential election.
She cannot change the laws of this Congress. She cannot unilaterally decide we're in an impeachment inquiry.
The president tweeted calling the inquiry witch hunt garbage and presidential harassment. Some in central Illinois agree.
I think it's stupid, crazy. There's no reason for it. The man's been doing a decent job. I mean, he's not great, but at least he stands up to people. He wants the best for the American people.
But others take the opposite stance in support of the impeachment inquiry.
I am not in favor of any of his policies so far. I don't consider him my president, and I'm actively working to make sure he does not get reelected.
Some believe this only will bolster the president's campaign for the upcoming election.
If they try to impeach him, I think he'll get reelected because the American people aren't stupid. They understand that he's doing a decent job.
The president tweeted that he's authorized the call transcript to be released tomorrow. House Democrats have given the White House until Thursday to hand over documents surrounding the whistleblower complaint. They could vote tomorrow on a possible resolution to pressure the acting director of national intelligence to release those details. Back to you.
All right, a lot coming up in the next few days. Jennifer, thank you. FBI agents raided State Senator Martin Sandoval's office in Springfield today.
That's right. WCIA 3's Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell tells us what they were after.
Anything you can tell us about what you're doing here?
Federal agents said very little to explain their raid at State Senator Martin Sandoval's home in Chicago, his district office in Cicero, and his State House office in Springfield. But what they held in their hands did most of the talking for them. FBI agents carried computers, hard drives, monitors, documents, and other evidence out in bags and hard containers. The surprise raid comes 3 weeks after the head of Chicago's FBI division
here in Chicago
asked for tips from anyone getting shaken down by a politician and warned, our corruption program is extremely busy and the city of Chicago should expect more to come. 3 weeks later, one of Chicago's most bombastic state senators who chairs the Senate Transportation Committee is in their sights. The show of force, a coordinated FBI effort to collect evidence in an ongoing criminal investigation Tuesday morning. The scope or focus of that investigation remains unclear. According to the Chicago Tribune, one of the agents belongs to the FBI's IRS division, an indication the probe could target Sandoval's finances. Sandoval is one of 4 current or recent state senators in Illinois under active investigation, 3 of those investigations at the federal level. A judge had to sign off on that warrant before the FBI could raid his offices Tuesday morning. What they found could show up in court documents if he ever faces charges. Reporting from Springfield, Mark Maxwell, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
A report in the Chicago Tribune tonight quotes an unnamed source and says the FBI is investigating accusations Sandoval used his official position to steer business to at least one company in exchange for kickbacks. Sandoval could not be reached for comment.
Champaign City Council members approved a 3% sales tax on recreational marijuana tonight, joining Urbana, Danville, and many other cities in the state that have done the same. The tax vote passed unanimously. Mayor says this tax will bring in more than $300,000 a year. New at 10, Mount Zion police are investigating what's causing a swastika to appear when you Google Mount Zion High School. Here's a look at it. By clicking on the image, the phrase "best shooting range I've been to" shows up. Other pictures show doctored photos of students dressed as Holocaust victims. The school says it's aware of the issue and officials are working to fix it.
And now for an update. An agreement was not reached between the Blue Ridge School Board and the union at tonight's contract bargaining session. This is the second time they've met with a federal mediator. There are 110 union members. Their contracts expired in June. The union wants pay to match the rising cost of health insurance. The union president says that discrepancy has been the cause of a high rate of teacher turnover.
It's our stance that pay is a major factor. You know, we perpetually have open bus driver positions, and the starting pay is not great. It's hard to make a living. And, you know, teachers start here at about $33,000 a year. And in other districts, you know, they start above 40.
The union formed a strike exploratory committee. The earliest a strike could happen would be October 21st. The next session with the mediator will be October 9th. Police are blocking off an intersection in Champaign after a man was hurt. Happened at the corner of Springfield and Kenwood around 9:15. Police say one person was hurt and taken to the hospital. Then the police are investigating. The owner of a liquor store there told us he saw 2 people get into a fight. Police would not confirm what happened, but did tell us the road will be blocked for at least the next 2 hours. Work continues on one of the busiest bridges in Champaign. Crews are resurfacing the Prospect Avenue Bridge. Their latest construction meant the sidewalk wasn't usable, so they've set up a temporary sidewalk. Work on the bridge should be finished by December.
Need something to put your mind at ease for your older relatives? What could help them when you're not around?
Plus, it'll soon be a tight squeeze on the roads.
Hard to share the road with something wider than you are.
How to keep farmers and drivers safe during harvest.
And you need to make goals to score in football, but some are more worried about Illinois' defense. What Coach Lovie Smith had to say.